Good morning, guys. This is John, Mr. Forex Fire, and it is officially the 2nd of February. And we're around about 20 past 8 in the morning, UK time. What we're going to do, we're going to check the news first of all. And again, we've got a lot of news today. So today may just be a sort of set the trades up, not officially enter them for this forward test, but see what kind of stuff we get on movement within the news, because we've got, I do believe, Bank of England stuff today. The interest rates might be going up by 0.5%, so that could affect the Great British Pound. We've got the Euro, and we've got USD again. If we just go on to the FX Street, which is another one I just tend to check, and we just go on to filter, and let's just filter out the low, and then on we just have the medium and the high. You can see on here round about midday is when we're going to be expecting some movement of volatility, volume in the market on the Great British Pound, and then again we may get some on the USD. We might get consolidation between now and midday, to be fair, on the GBP pairs, but we'll wait and see on that. We are expecting inflation to go up in the UK today and be announced, so that might make the Great British Pound sort of fall a bit, but we shall see. And the other thing I'm changing on here as well, which I found just yesterday, which I didn't do a video, but I was watching price action. Especially when the news is coming in, the broker or under on TradingView is absolutely atrocious, guys. The price and the spreads and things like that, it's not good. So what we've done is we've changed over to, I do use a live account, and I've got one with Pepperstone, and I do use one as a funded trader with obviously my Forex funds. So what I've done is, you'll notice on here, I've got Pepperstone on here. So we'll be marking up the charts as I do. We're going to put this into New York time. It's just something I've always done. We're on the hour, and I want to go to the vertical line. I want to put on the midnights, and we're just going to slowly build this up. Let's have a look. We don't want that one there. We want the midnights of New York. So we've got here ICT, midnight, New York, and GMT. So we're setting that up like this, as is, making sure we get it on the midnight. You see down here, it's midnight. I'm on New York time. Let's go to 15 minutes. I'm just going to put that on the high. Stick it on the low. And then we're just going to follow suit. Vertical line goes on the midnight time frame. And then midnight line, or I should say the high, and then the low. And I'm going to bring odd USD into the mix today, again, because we are forward testing. I just want to have a little bit of play around with some pairs, if that makes sense. And again, we're not going to enter trades with regards to what's on our paper trade account here, okay? We're gonna set up trades for sure, but I'm not going to actively sort of enter it, if that makes sense. Let's just have a look. We'll go on to the vertical. Again, this week's been a horrible week for news events, to be fair. So we haven't really been able to forward test much as such. Let's drill this down to a 1 minute. So I'm waiting for the highs and the lows on these to be taken. And again, I need the magnets on, to be fair. So I'm just going to put the alarms on. Let's stick the alarms on. We'll do this. We'll do this on every pair, to be fair. We'll get the alarms on, and we'll do this up until obviously the kill box of the London session, and we'll work it through the kill box of the London session. Just make sure I've got the GBP, GPY. Let's get the high and the low. Let's get the alarms in. And the final one. So again, we've been working with like 3 pairs. We started with 1 pair. We went to 2 pairs. We went to 3 pairs. I'm now going to factor in 4 pairs and see if I can work with this going through it, to be fair. And that's us all set up. We are now just waiting for any of these structure high and lows to be broken, and then we'll look for the displacements. Again, let's just get the trading plan on. There's a trading plan there. Again, I'm just going to try and be extra visual today, to be fair. It's not about getting in on the trades and pulling the trigger. This is just about today seeing how price would react if we did set it up, okay? Because I don't want to go into trading when there's heavy news events imminently due, if that makes sense. But still, it's going to make for an insightful session. It's going to make for an insightful end of the week. And then when we go into next week, I'm going to do the same procedure again next week with this. And then the week after, we might start to try and do something with the NAS 100, okay? So I'm going to pause the video. We'll be back in a short while once we get our first liquidity grab, okay? I'll be back in a second. Hey guys, so we got our first alert, and it's actually on the newer pair that I've brought into this, which is the AUD USD. Okay, we can see we've had a spike, making a new today's high, and our first port of call is identifying that liquidity grab, which we've done. Excuse me, which we've done. And we'll just wait for a displacement from this, and then we shall see what we will do from there. Again, it looks as if there's on the order, it looks as if it's getting stronger. Oh, I tell you the dear. Excuse me, boys and girls. Right. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this, and like I say, if we do sort of set something up, it'll not be to get on an official trade. It'll just simply be to like sort of get in on this is what I think's going to happen, and then we'll see if it plays out. Today we'll protect the account, even though it is only a demo and paper trade. We just need to protect the account. With that being said, there was something else I needed to go over today as well. To be honest, the commissions or whatever on here was like sort of knocking things down, so it was knocking the sheet off. Let's see where we're at. Dashboard. See, it was 998.89670. So on here I've got it. It's 9991177. 998, which one? I mean, this has got more in it, to be honest. So I mustn't have had this set up. 998. Yeah, so if I put that to what's on my sheet, so we'll reset this to was 99, which is going to be less than what we've got, to be fair. 99896. 99896 and 70. All right, so I'm happy with that. We can like sort of get that. We know that's protected now. So here we go. We've created a new high. Now starting to come sort of down. I want to put my kill zone boxes in. Now the kill zone boxes seem to be playing up with that, to be fair. Fair value gap. Right, so we could say we've got a short here. This would be, I will go down to a 2, a 1 to 2. I'll get this magnet off. That's what's playing up. Let's see if we would get an entry on this. Again, we've had the move out of liquidity. So we had the liquidity grab. We've left behind, like I say, a 2-minute fair value gap. We've got lots of 2-minute fair value gaps now, to be honest. We could bring that down to this 2-minute fair value gap. Make this into 1 to 2 there. So we've got an entry there. We've got a 6 pip stop, 12 gain. We'll just see if this would have played out. And then again, let's get the magnet back on. Let's get this above here. Let's get the line on it. And again, we want to get this on a line, to be fair. Am I able to change this to today's high? Today's high. And then I'll change the other ones as and when we sort of come into it. Like I say, we haven't entered the trade officially. We're just testing the theory and the method behind this. And it's the first time I'm trying this on anything other than like a GBP pair. On a London time frame session. What is putting me off, if we just go on to here, kill zone boxes. Go to London. Let's go on to London. Now these kill zone boxes seem to be out. London kill zone 330. These boxes don't seem to be complying with what we're doing today, to be fair. To 8. Very strange. Very strange. It is what it is. We'll see what happens, though, guys. We'll go back on the odd USD. We'll just see if this will play out. I'll pause the video, guys. We'll be back in a short while. We'll see what happens with this particular pair. Yep, look at this, guys. It looks as if we're going to be heading at least towards that area. Will we actually push down there as another thing to be seen, to be fair? But again, this brings into play what I was talking about the last few days with regard to these 2-minute fair value gaps. So there's certain ways you can sort of trade these if they come into play. I was trading these off the 1 minute. Okay, the 1 minute fair value gap. But I seem to be getting better results when I bring in the 2 minutes, so again, this is what we'll be working from, in fairness. If I go, again, set this up as it is on here, that's more or less went for a 1-to-1 at the moment based upon that there, you see. So you have getting a 1% on this. Again, I don't want to be like, if I was trading this live, I don't want to be upsetting the apple cart by moving stop losses to break evens and things like that. I do want to try and genuinely go for the push of the full target straight away. But again, we can see here, this would have been a 1% move. If I just put that on there, and let's just highlight what has been given, So there is a 1% there. I'm going to take that off there. We'll see what happens with price now. And we want the 2% targets obviously to be hitting. Let's have a look at the other pairs just for a second. Again, might as well just change these now. On the line. Today's high. Line. Today low. So we're nowhere near on anything on that. We'll put the euro, the odd USD there. Again, I might just be able to put this straight on to today's low. Yeah, I don't need to change there. Don't need to change the line graph, if that makes sense. Just straight over template and then just pick the area. So we've got that. And then there's the high. The low looks as if it's going to come to be taken out on the GBP USD. Let's go back to the odd USD. There's GBP USD taken now. So again, identify the liquidity grab. Let's just keep a close eye on this. There's not much of a liquidity grab, but there is a liquidity grab there. Price has gone lower, not by much, and not even by a pip, to be fair. So we'll actively keep an eye on this for sure. I mean, the odd USD is hovering around that 1% mark. And the Euro USD and the GBP GPY are just stuck in transition at the minute. We'll just actively watch this. We might get a push a little bit lower, to be fair. I'm still a little bit perplexed where this kill zone box. Normally they don't set up until around about 8:30. Half 8, and then the other London's one anyway. I'll have to look at that a bit later, to be honest. I know what time frames they sort of go between, to be fair, but like I say, we'll see what happens. So it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a push further down on this liquidity grab. You can see there, it has gone a little bit lower. So it's pushed that a little bit lower. Come back out. I'll pause the video, guys. We'll be back in a short while once we start seeing another setup forming. Okay, guys, so we've got the GBP, JPY now coming into effect. We can see here, obviously, the liquidity is massively taken from the GBP USD. GBP, there's our liquidity identified there on the liquidity grab here. So we are expecting volatility. There's the 2% made on the that would have been the 2% made on this here. So that would have been a winning trade. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of this here and this here. So that's a winning trade there, the GBP USD. We're starting to get some movements back from that liquidity grab. Just letting it do what it needs to do. The GBP, GPY, which we're looking at as well. We can see there's obviously some volume and volatility at the moment. The Euro USD is nearly gone to today's low. So we might see a hive of activity in the next, 20 minutes or so, you know. So again, we've ticked off the box of this one here. We've double tapped into today's low on the AUD USD, the GBP. The GBP, we're going to start getting ready to possibly make possibly an entry, if that makes sense. Again, we're not going to be pulling the trigger, but we're going to be sort of looking at what we can grab. Again, we were just around about a pip from liquidity taken here, because this is going to leave behind a nice fair value gap now as well, which is a shame, but it doesn't coincide with the rules or regulations in the plan. So we're actively watching 3 pairs at the moment. There's no real high point taken out on here, if that makes sense. We could still get a push down because we're just making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs. I want a new structure point taken up here, in fairness. So this is nice, to be honest, because as we pull down and made a lower low, make a lower high, if we don't break this structure on this lower low, but then we take out this one, I'll be looking for the fair value gap that is sort of left behind, if that makes sense. All will come make sense to you once we get that move, if it does come to fruition. And here we are. We could be getting a fair value gap left behind here. We'll get one set up ready. I'm just going to put this here. I'm just going to place this around about here. 4 seconds left, because we've taken this. So we've got a new candle. I'm going to take the magnet off. I'm going to come down to 1 to 2. We'll see if that plays out, guys. We'll see if it comes into fruition and plays. From there, we've got the GBP USD. Again, no 2-minute value gap here, which is what we would be waiting on. We could take a long on this one. Okay. Looks like I see it. Look for a 1 to 2. We'll see if we get this one played in. Again, we haven't had a liquidity grab here. So I'm going to place this one back to the top. We've got the GBP USD hasn't started doing anything as such yet. We've got the GBP GPY hasn't entered, but we've had that liquidity grab. Euro USD again. We'll be looking for an entry here to see if we can get the push to the higher side. Although no, we won't, because we didn't have a liquidity grab, so that's cancelled off. We can't use that one. So it's the GBP. We're still waiting for a high taken here. Okay, what the high taken here. So in reality, we've only got that one trade, which could be a possible setup. Again, if I just do this again. Mark this down. So if we do get an entry, that's the halfway point. Still no movement. This is a shame, because this is a beautiful fair value gap, to be fair. But again, I need a liquidity grab taken from here, and it hasn't done that. So, like I say, I mean, we could get an entry and then it may take off to come up to these higher bits to give a nice 1 to 2, but it doesn't meet the criteria of entry, if that makes sense. I mean, this here, when you look at this here, okay, we've had the liquidity grab, we've come down, we've left behind the 2-minute fair value gap. We've actually come in to mitigate into the 2-minute fair value gap. But I ideally would want to see this retrace further and deeper into it to then trigger it, which could still may happen, to be fair. This line here, like I say, this will be the 1% area from a touch of entry. That 2%, obviously, it's bagged. We haven't taken it on the trade as such. We're just price watching today because of the news. But 2% so far this morning is good going. Excuse me, again, we can't count that the Euro USD hasn't met criterias. Now we can start looking at a possible entry on here, because we're going to leave behind the fair value gap in a minute. Okay, so if we do this, and then we do this, 1 to 2. You can say, hey, we've got a fair value gap left behind. So we're waiting for a touch entry. Again, if I just put on the fib and then mark out the halfway point, we'll get rid of that fib. That just means if we get a touch entry, that's the 1% area. So now as we stand, we've got a GBP, GPY possible entry. We've got a GBP, USD possible entry. The Euro, USD. It looks as if this could have been a trade, to be fair, but again, that liquidity grab didn't come. However, if we go onto the long where the liquidity grab didn't come, and then we just do that, and then we go on to the 1 to 2, it's certainly just about on a 1 to 1, to be fair. It has actually given a 1 to 1 that. The 1 to 2 is up here. Just going to put a question mark on this one. Let's have a look. Just want to put a question mark on that one because it didn't meet this here. This did not take this here. The GBP, we haven't gotten an entry. We're still meandering above the 2-minute fair value gap. GBP, GPY, we're still meandering as well. So what we'll do is we'll pause the video. We've got 3 that are in, or 2 that could be in play. The Euro USD, we're just putting on a watch at the moment just to see. Yes, we haven't had the liquidity grab, but I just want to see what kind of reaction we get off this, because again, the first rule of the plan is we need that liquidity grab of the high and low. Okay, I'll be back in a couple of minutes, guys. Okay, guys, so we haven't quite gotten an entry on the GBP GPY. The GBP USD has entered. Again, like I say, we going back on, we're just doing price watch today. We'll see how this reacts. We've got an area here which would be a 1%. The Euro USD, there's the odd USD coming into a liquidity grab. So we haven't quite come into play on this one here. Again, question mark, because there was no liquidity grab. And odd USD has now made a liquidity grab. So again, I'll move this down to here just so it's identifying where we are. And then from there, I'm just going to see if we get some form of movement back to the upside. And we'll see how we play from there. Let's just have another look. GBP USD, it's starting to come into profits. GBP GPY looks like it's just going to run away from us, to be fair. Huge fair value gap in here, and there's a one mixed in with it as well. So again, we may not get that entry on here. Odd USD, small liquidity grab. We're just waiting for a displacement of movement. And so far on using this method, there's so much goes into sort of putting a strategy and a plan together, and sort of seeing what works, what doesn't work. There's so much I want to try with some other stuff that I've seen, and starting to, obviously, from my knowledge, seeing that it is or could be a viable plan. I mean, obviously, the NAS 100 is one that I am really looking forward to get my teeth into, on a couple of reasons why. One, it's not something that I've traded. So anything that I've never traded, to be fair, is obviously something I would always like to get to grips with and learn a bit more, you know. And the second one is the plan that I've seen on it does produce some good results. So as long as I can sort of break the method down, and I mean, I've got the discipline side, no problem at all. It's just learning the structure of the plan, you know. If I can get that dialed in and I can forward test that for you guys, then it's going to be a win-win, you know. So I'm going to be looking forward in the next week or two to be doing that one as well, you know. So we've got the GBP USD is now coming into some like sort of halfway heavy drawdown at the minute. The GBP GPY looks like it may be coming back up. I'll get this back where it was. Looks like it may be coming back up towards the field of play. The Euro USD, it has entered, but remember, question mark, there was no liquidity grab here. So this is just one out of interest. The odd USD, we have most certainly got that liquidity grab from the today's low. We're just waiting for the fulfillment back up to the other side, looking for the displacement and fair value gap. Okay, so as a rundown, we've got our eyes on the odd USD. The Euro USD, it's a question mark sort of trade setup, but we're seeing how it goes because we didn't officially get the liquidity grab. GBP JPY, excuse me, again, it's come into halfway of the field of play, but it's left the station as such. It's now within the mid-range of this previous here. It's now hopefully doing a retracement into this field of play. We'll see if that comes to fruition. And then the GBP USD is just meandering about. Okay, I'll pause the video, guys, and I'll give you an update in a second or two. Okay, guys, so again, if this one hits the SL, obviously it doesn't count towards that 2% or the minus 1% from the odd USD today. The odd USD is just, it's massively dropped. So the liquidity grab, we do have a new today's low. We're just waiting to see it come back to the upside. The Euro USD is a questionable trade. The GBP, JPY, we can see we're starting to move back up. The GBP and the USD has hit here. So what we'll do on that, we'll just put an X on here. Okay, and we'll minimize that. Okay, so now we know we've got an X. We know we've got an X. Okay, we've got liquidity grab here. We can bring this down to the new lower point. And just get rid of this as well. So again, we can stick on here -1 as we run through this morning's trades. Okay, so GBP, USD. Okay, so now we're waiting for possibly a 2-minute fair value gap, but I want to see it run on the highs. The GBP, GPY, it has came back up, but it's not touching into this. The Euro USD, like we say, questionable trade, but we'll just see if it's going to play. Or USD. So I want these two near each other, the GBP USD and the odd USD. I would like to see a run of play up on here for the GBP USD. I would like to see again a run of play up on here. We'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. So we've hit one trade as a winner and one trade as a loser. So we're around about 1% up is what we would be. So again, guys, there's the liquidity grab of the London. So that, again, it wasn't a viable trade. It was just something we were testing, so that wouldn't go down as a loss. We were just seeing if it was going to play. But now we can see we've actually got, like I say, we've actually got that liquidity grab there, which is a rundown. We're still not near the entry. Again, I want to see a run of play here now. Nice little pullback. So it's a target to go towards. And then from there, the same with the GBP USD. The one that I'm closest to at the minute for an entry is possibly this here, but we shall see. I will be back in a second. So we could be getting another possible entry. Obviously, the liquidity grabs came from up here. We're down to here. Again, long position. Let's do this on here. There's a 2-minute fair value gap. 1 to 2. There's the 1 to 2. We'll see what comes of that. So there's another entry there, guys. Again, I can move this down to here now. Let's take a look. Get the magnet on. So there's a 1 to 2 here. We've got a 1 to 2 possible entry on the GBP, GPY, the Euro USD. Not quite a liquidity grab up on the high side as such. The GBP USD still meandering around. So we might get another entry here shortly, depending on the price movement of this. Again, I need to see structure. I need to see up here taken, to be fair. We'll keep a close eye on it. The odd USD is now in a little bit of profit. Again, we'll just enter a consolidated area on the GBP, GPY. All eyes now are on the Euro USD, to be fair. We'll see how these 40 seconds play out. Excuse me. So we've got 2-minute fair value gaps on the buy side liquidity of that little sort of swing. But it looks like we may come down to take the today's low again. I would like to see this go a little bit higher up, to be fair, on this candle, but I don't think it's going to happen now. 10 seconds. It's making a push for that little trend line upward liquidity here. From here, it's trying to push for this here. So we've got a new candle. Here comes the new candle, and there's the buying pressure. So we just take this here. So we're making double and treble tops. We look further into that. There's a little bit of a liquidity push and take on that. But this is where you're really refining things. But in all honesty, we need the buy-in or the wax of the candle to push above here to give us a green fair value gap, which what I mean by that is something along the lines of everything's in it like this here, you see the green. We need that green fair value gap. This has run away from us now, so again, as we've come down, we left the fair value gap here, we broke the halfway point, came back up, and then we more or less broke structure again. So that's run away from us. We can delete that off. We can take the liquidity grab off that. Okay. Put the magnet back on and take the today's high. So that one unfortunately didn't come back into play for us. The odd USD is meandering on just in the drawdown. Euro USD, we haven't spiked above here yet. I want to see that push. We might get an entry on it. The GBP USD, again, it's tanking as well. So all eyes is on this one sort of pair at the minute. 20 seconds left. Are we going to leave behind the residue of the wax, which will give us the fair value gap? It's wanting to push, it's wanting to test, it's wanting to take this area here. Let's take a look. So I'm gonna get one of these in ready for this. There's a fair value gap there. We'll get rid of this, and then we'll go to target 1 to 2. There's our 1 to 2. So now what we've got in play is we'll put that to the top. We've got the GBP, GPY at the top because there's nothing playing. We've got two entries. We've got this here on a 1 to 2, which is the Euro USD, and we've got the odd USD. Okay, I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a second. We'll see how these two play out. So we're getting back and having a look at this, guys. The Euro USD has actually stopped out. It went for another liquidity grab. So this here is a this one is a no-no, and this is why we have not done any trading proper setups today. So that there we can put on here -1%. Again, this is why I don't trade news. This is why I go on to what I call a price watch demo. From there, we've got the magnet on. I can now make this into that low. There was a liquidity grab highlighted by this. Maybe we can like sort of look at an entry in a second. Let's move this over to here. Are we going to leave behind the fair value gap? We need to push above these areas here, most certainly. We'll keep an eye on it. The odd USD, it's sort of meandering about on there. The GBP, GPY, again, we haven't taken any high or low. And we've got a liquidity grab here, but the Great British Pounds, we're expecting it to be weak today, just purely because of the news, to be fair. So I'm going to bring this down to here as a watch. We've got the Euro USD, a possible watch. Odd USD is obviously in a trade. And like I said, we'll just take it from there, guys. I'm watching these bottom two at the moment. Excuse me. I'm a little bit tired today. And from there, I'm just waiting to see if this high here gets taken, this lower high, because we did have a little bit of a retracement, not much. But ideally, when it comes to this here with the displacement, things like that, we need to see volume in both directions, where it comes down, it convincingly takes liquidity, but then it convincingly leaves the displacement, you know, giving us these sort of areas. But we'll see. I'll pause the video. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea in a second. And then from there, we'll be nearly at the end of our little video session for today. So I will be back in a short while. So I was going to get a cup of tea, guys, but the alarm went. We've got the fair value gap left here, the green. Okay, and we had the displacement from here, the liquidity grab, sorry, and then we've got the displacement coming up. We've took those highs. So this, again, we're looking for an entry. We go from here to here. This is our halfway point for obviously structurally seeing what is that 1%. Again, hasn't ended. It's just above there. The GBP USD, we're waiting for the lower high to be taken here. The odd USD, it's hovering in profits at the moment. GBP, GPY, we had a liquidity grab. So all are in some stage of activity at the moment, whether it's at stage 1, which is a liquidity grab, whether it be stage 2, 3, and 4, where we're actually ticked all the boxes and we're actually in the order, to where we are actively waiting for the displacement to come into play, and then the Euro USD, where we have got the limit order set and we are waiting for that defined entry to come into play. So again, we've got 4 price watch pairs that we're doing, and so far we've had 1 win. I think it's been 2 losses. I think we'll go back before the end of the video anyway, and we'll have a look on what sort of thing it's came and produced. Again, today we are not concentrating on taking the trades actively on the forward test, simply because of the hive of news that is coming in today and the build up to those news events. Okay, so again, we sit on our hands. We still look at what and how we would have traded this, but again, when you have so much going on in the economy and in the news, you don't really want to be actively trading. But it does no harm in keeping your eye on the prize, your eye on the ball, and your eye on the charts to see how the plan would have played. And I'm not expecting much, in all honesty. Far from it. I'm not expecting much at all, if anything at all, simply because there's so much manipulation goes on during the build-up, and then obviously when these news events comes out. So as we go onto these 4 pairs again, starting from the bottom, the Euro USD looks like we're going to come and get that entry. It's starting to pull back a bit. The GBP USD, it's got the liquidity grab, but displacement's not coming in. Or the USD, we have been stuck in a range for, let's have a look. We've been stuck in a range for around about 20 minutes now on that entry area. We're just waiting for that push. The GBP, GPY, again, we've had that liquidity grab from the today's low, and then nothing's come of it. So again, once again, we will pause the video, guys, and we will be back in a short while to see how these ones play out. And there we have it, guys. We've got the odd USD now in its move. We missed the train by about a pip on the Euro USD. We still have not had any movement of the GBP USD, and we still not had the movement from that liquidity grab on there. So the odd USD now looks as if it's going to push to give, I mean, it's at least give 1%. Or it's heading towards that 1% area. Like I say, that 0.5 is just the 0 and the 1 area here. So when it touches that means it would have given a 1%, at least. The Euro USD, again, it's left the station for me. We've got so many fair value gaps. I don't know whether it's too risky or not, because it's not my plan to do so, whether it's worth putting one here to the bottom of here and then seeing and then seeing a 2% there, you know. Let's give that a try again. There's no harm in it. Okay, we're just gonna get rid of that. We'll get rid of the lower fair value gap. We'll see if this would have come to fruition with an entry and a sort of take profit area. Again, I'm going to mark out the fibbed area on here. And then I'm going to put, that would have been the 1%. We'll just see if we'll get a target and entry and see if it comes into play, to be fair. Again, for that, we are still going to do the question mark, because the question mark ones is not one that we normally have in our playbook for an entry. Again, you look for a displacement, a liquidity grab and displacement sort of thing. We'll see if this tags in and see if it continues up. We missed this fair value gap by a pip, and then it took off again. The odd USD hasn't quite tagged in that 1%. GBP, USD, it wants to make a push, but again, 12 o'clock time, we've got news, high impact news come from the Bank of England. We are expecting the inflation rate to go up by another 0.5%. So we might not see any sort of major sort of movement in these next hour or so. We're coming up to around about 10 to 10 UK time. It is around about in New York, I do believe. It's 10 to 5 in the morning in New York. So we're just going to have a little rundown and then we'll have another pause of the video. So at the moment, we've had a liquidity grab on price on the GBP, GPY, breaking the structure today's low. We're waiting for a run of play and get the displacement on this lower high. GBP, USD, we're starting to get that move, so I just need to stay on here at the moment. We may get an entry on here once this runs out. And then again, 10 pips. We've got an entry on here now. We'll see if this will hold. In fact, the fair value gap is around about here, to be honest. I want this on around about 10 pips. There's 1 to 2. The touch is coming in now. So again, we'll start from the beginning. The GBP, GPY, there's just nothing happening. We've got an entry now from the liquidity grab and displacement, leaving behind the fair value gap. We might come in and tag this one here, to be fair. The odd USD, we have mitigated into a 1% area. The Euro USD, again, questionable trade entry. We're not going to count this as sort of hit miss. We're just seeing what it would have played from where we were just this 1 pip off. I don't think this one will play out, to be fair. But again, we won't count it on the end of today's totals, if that makes sense. In fact, because it wouldn't be counted, we're just going to take that one off. Like I said, we did initially have that one there, remember, simply because of the break here. I'm going to highlight this one back up, to be fair. 1 to 2. Because we had the break of this structure here, leaving behind the 2-minute fair value gap. So I'll leave this one marked up the way it was. And then from there, as the run down the GBP, GPY, we're starting to get a little bit of a push back, but we need the structure lower high to be taken, to be fair. GBP, USD is now in drawdown. Odd USD is still meandering about that 1%. And the Euro USD, which is what we initially had on the setup, I've set back up for us. Again, if we push in the 1 to 0, and then that 0.5 area is we're setting up as that 1%. We'll just see that would have been taken if we do get that entry. Okay, I'll pause the video. We'll be back in a short while. So as you can see, guys, the Euro USD has come back into the initial entry that we wanted. The odd USD is still meandering about on the 1% area. Drawdown on GBP USD. And it looks like we may get an entry on all 4 in a moment. we need to see a push above this liquidity area here on the GBP, JPY. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, very tired today. Wow. Let's mark out the 1%. It's good to do these sort of, I mean, we're nice, but that was the right call earlier on than before. On the Euro USD, it's now in profit. It's more or less had a wick entry with very minimal drawdown. So the rudder play on this is really good. We're coming up towards the 10 o'clock time. These will officially be the last entries, to be honest. We'll see how these play out. What I'm going to do, I am now going to pause the video. We're not going to enter any trade on the GBP, GPY. We've got the GBP, USD. We've got the AUD USD, and we've got the Euro USD. So now we've got 3 trades, which I'm going to wait for an outcome. I'll pause the video, and then I'll come back on the video once we've got the outcome. Okay, guys? I'll see you in a bit. And then we'll do a rundown on what's happened throughout this morning's price watch session. I'll be back in a short while. All right, guys. So now we can see why I don't like to trade when we come to after the 10 a.m. So what we can do, we can knock this one with an X. That one's done. I'll just copy that. It's got a -1 here. Again, this one's in drawdown. It's been at 1%. And this one looks like it's going to get taken out. So I'm going to end the video in a second. But first of all, we're just going to look back. And now we're going to understand why we didn't set any trades today based upon, obviously, these news events. I mean, that one there, that one now has hit out. Okay. That one there has hit out. If we get this here, and it didn't even go to the 1%, so I can't even mark 1%. So if we start from the top, okay, the GBP, JPY, no entries today. So we got a -2. Okay. Entered one, missed, entered one, missed. It didn't even go to the 1%. So we got a 2. So that brings us back to break even. Okay, that brings us back to break even, missing out 2% on the others. This one still live at the moment. And on this one, again, we've -1 and -1. So we are on a -2 on the price watch session today. So again, I mean, this one might actually go on to do what we're doing. I mean, 1%. So technically what you could see it is we're on a -2. This went to a 1. So it's possibly a -1 event so far. But I'm going to call the video there for today, guys. Again, I didn't want to start getting into forward testing further on this sort of stuff purely because of the news events that are coming in. Again, if we go onto the Forex factory and the FX street, just to finish it off, we can see we've got news obviously throughout the day in London. Let's have a look. I just need to put this onto London time. You have settings, and then go onto the calendar. So we're on Thursday at the moment. So filter, we want to take out the low, the medium, leave the high, and we want to take out the low and the none. We want to keep the medium and the high impact. So we'll just do that. We can see we're on the 2nd of February. 2nd of February, we can see coming up, we've got loads of GBP, euros, and then a few USD news. Same with regards to on the FX street. Again, we're coming up to an hour and a half before all the news of the Bank of England and things like that. So the volatility is going to be spiking, you know, we're going to get taken out. And then we've got the USD news going into London lunchtime, but it will be the New York Open. So again, the very reason why we have stayed out of trades today, to be fair. Again, overall, we are looking at around about a minus 1% at the moment, based upon what the others have done. But again, this one is still holding structure. It might go on and take us to the 2% move. I'm going to stop the video there for now. And if you're watching this, if you head over into the YouTube in the community area, I'll update what's happened with the odd USD in the community tab, okay, to see if we ended up overall in profits or whether we went from that -1 to the -3. If this comes out, it would take us into a 1% for the price watch today. Okay, guys. So my name's been John, Mr. Forex Fire. Hopefully, when you're watching these little bits of videos, you're taking a little something away from it, from what I'm marking up on a morning, what I'm looking at. Okay, guys. So I shall see you all later.